Well, hello, hello. Good morning. How are you today? Let's see if my technology is working today. Let's see. I don't see it working. Maybe. We'll test it out. Yay, it is. Woohoo. All right. So, well, welcome. Have a happy, wonderful Wednesday. That's what I call Wednesdays, not hump day. No, I'm not getting over to get to somewhere else. It's wonderful Wednesday because there's always something wonderful happening in your life if you choose to look for wonderful. Not saying there can't be challenges out there, but there definitely is things that are wonderful all the time, everywhere, for sure. So, welcome. Excited to be here with you today. And I really wanted to dive into excuses versus reasons. Because here's the thing, everybody has the same 24 hours in a day, right? You have the same 24 hours. I have the same 24 hours. And we get to choose what we want to do in those 24 hours. You get to choose what you want to do in those 24 hours. So, you can make excuses or you can make reasons. And what do I mean by what? First of all, an excuse is I don't have time, I don't have money, there's not enough me to go around, I can't get everything done, and those are all excuses. And here's the things, we need to develop the reasons to do things that get beyond the excuses. Reasons are what drive you. They're what motivate you. They're what get you to keep moving and going forward in life. If we have no reasons to do things, then why are we going to do them? Right? So here's what I want to share. There was a time, I remember, I have 3 sons. They're 13, 11, even though my 11-year-old keeps telling me he's 12, so he's confusing me, but he's 11, and 8-year-old. And if anybody knows me, knows that I love to work out. I love to move my body. I love to be healthy and strong. And so when I had my children, I had to figure out a way to exercise. And I chose to breastfeed my children exclusively. So I couldn't leave my kids for a long period of time, or at least that's what I told myself back then. I couldn't leave them for a long period of time. And I remember having my second son, who was, so I had a 2-year-old and how old would Evan be? A newborn, right? A 2-year-old and a newborn. So that year when I first had my second son, I wanted to get back into shape. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to meditate. And I could have used the excuse that I have children. I don't have time to take for myself. It's too hard to meditate with toddlers. Anybody out there, if you're out there listening and you got toddlers, do you find time to meditate? Drop below, yes or no. And the thought is, I wanted to do all that, right? But I could have made my kids the excuses not to, right? They needed my attention. I needed to be there. I needed to take care of them. They needed me 100% all the time. And, I could have made those excuses. So instead of what I did was to meditate, I got a big play yard, not a playpen, but what's that called? A fence. It was like an indoor fence. They're called play yards. And I would make this space in my basement, and I would sit inside there with my eyes closed, and I knew what was in the room, so I knew that they would be safe. And then sometimes I had to peek, open my eyes. Now, it wasn't the meditation that I was having before kids, where I would sit quietly by myself and not have to be aware of my surroundings, right? You could totally let go. So I had to adjust my rules and adjust my expectation of what meditation was. And at the same time, I still gave myself that space to close my eyes, to connect with my breath, with myself, with my kids around, right? I could have made them the excuse not to, right? Same thing when it came to exercise. I didn't want to have to leave my kids with a babysitter. Actually, I didn't have anybody at the time. And I found the reason. I wanted to show them that it's important, right? So one, I could have made the kids the excuse not to meditate. Instead, I made them the reason, right? I showed them in that example, in that lifestyle, that you can really make what you want happen, right? And then I did the same thing with exercise. Take the excuses out. I could have made the excuse with my kids that I didn't have a babysitter. I didn't have money or time or the will to exercise. And what I did is I collaborated with some other stay-at-home moms, and we hired a personal trainer to come to my house. So there was 3 or 4 of us that would get together. They would come to, and we would hire a trainer to come to our house 3 days a week. So it was, way less money to do one-on-one training. It was less money than a membership. I didn't have to worry about babysitting because the kids were right there in the room with us in the basement. So I used my kids as a reason. I wanted to show them, right? Changing them from an excuse to a reason. I wanted to show them that it is possible to create time for yourself, to take care of yourself, to show them the importance of that, right? So your reasons or your excuses. What drop below, what are your reasons and what have been your excuses, or what excuses are you converting into reasons? Yeah? And then there was things like, I can't keep a clean house. I can't do all this because I made up all these excuses. I made up all the excuses. It's impossible when you have 3 children. It's impossible to keep your house clean and organized and all of that. And here's the thing. I was teaching them, and what are you teaching your family or your friends or nieces or nephews? What are you teaching them? Are you teaching them how to develop boundaries so that you can make the time for yourself, so that you can do what you need to do? So what was happening in the beginning of my children's life and as a transition, and be easy on yourself, things when you're in transition, there needs to be grace with developing your systems and things that work for you. And what happened was my house was a disaster, not dirty, just disorganized and messy. And I made my kids the excuse. I can't keep a clean house. I got 3 sons. I got this happening. And instead I started to switch the talk in my mind, taking that from an excuse to a reason. What would keeping an organized house teach my children, right? So I started to make them the reasons to start keeping an organized house. And what role do they have to play in that? So start declaring some boundaries, right? What is it that they need? And it just today alone, looking at our morning and getting everybody to swim and camp and all of that, I'm like, wow, I need to go back to looking at some reasons and some boundaries, right? Most of our excuses come from lack of boundaries. So I need to go and look at some boundaries that I need to reset with my boys and for myself, so that getting out of the house and having a smoother transition when we have things to go is easier for us, right? And and just talking a little bit about what I talked about last week about the transition into the next phase or whatever that is, looking at boundaries is really, really key, right? I'm looking at, we're 2 weeks into summer vacation. I need to set some boundaries with my boys. Otherwise, it's going to be a very disorganized, chaotic summer for us. And for me, I'll say for me, for them, they'll sleep away all day and do their thing. But for me, it becomes super challenging. So now I need to look at it. I can say, I have preteens and teens, and they do their own thing and they sleep whenever they want. I can look at that and yeah, that could be the excuses, right? Or I can say, no, this is I need to create reasons. They need to understand responsibility. They need to understand that everybody in our household helps in our house. They need to understand that there's natural consequences to their actions, right? Staying up late makes it hard to get up early to go to swim. So take your excuses and turn them into reasons, because you deserve it. You deserve to have enough time for yourself. You deserve to have enough money for yourself. You deserve to have a break and sit down and relax without feeling guilty or that there's 100 things going on. So take your excuses, make them reasons, set some boundaries, and I'll see you next time.